Greetings, everyone. My name is Victor Ramsey, proud member of the Board of Directors of Shape America, and also a member of the Shape America Retention and Recruitment Task Force. My guest today is Dr. Rachael Gibson. Dr. Gibson goes by she, her, and Aya. She's currently the Senior Program Manager at AMAZE Education at Advocates for Youth. Dr. Gibson is an ASEC certified sex educator based in Miami, in sunny Florida, and Cape Town, South Africa, and has taught comprehensive sexuality education all over the US and the world. Dr. Gibson has 20 years of experience in the health and sexual education field and currently serves on the Shape America National Health Education Council and has an ongoing research project in partnership with the University of Western Cape and the University of Cape Town. Prior to joining AFY, AMAZE team, Dr. Gibson was an instructional coach and content specialist in the New York City Department of Education Office of School Wellness Programs. Dr. Gibson also spent 17 years as a secondary health education teacher in New York City. She happens to be my former colleague, and I'm so proud and happy to have her with us today. In addition to her work with AMAZE and AFY, she's an adjunct professor in Widener University Center for Human Sexuality Studies. Dr. Gibson's research examines the interaction between teacher and learner identities. Her most current work, titled Learner Experiences of Teacher Gender, Associations Among Gender and Comfort in the Sexuality Education Classroom, which offers recommendation for pre and in-service teacher training that includes strategies for meeting the perceptions of students in effective and culturally responsive ways. In addition to all that she does, in her free time, she finds time to be an avid hiker, a dancer, and a traveler. This is something that connects directly with our audience, and I am so happy to have Dr. Gibson with us today. How are you, Dr. Gibson?
Hi, thanks, Dr. Ramsey. I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
This is awesome. Thank you for joining us for the love of health and physical education, also known as hashtag for the love of HPE. So I know you have a wealth of knowledge and information for our audience. You're someone that I've always reach out to should I need information. And I know that our listeners will be happy to have some of the expertise that you can bring to us. So I look forward to having this conversation with you today. And I have a series of questions that I cannot wait to hear your answer. So I would like to just start off by asking you the first question. Could you share your thoughts regarding the teaching of sexuality education by health and physical educators, teacher training, especially those teachers who have been assigned to teach sex education without any type of training or any type of linking to opportunities to link young people to resources?
Yeah, I mean, we're just going right for it. Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, listen, first of all, let's give a big shout out and a thank you to all the health and phys ed teachers that are doing this tough but super important work, right? Whether they were voluntold to do it or assigned to do it or chose to do it, just thank you. You know, being a teacher has always been challenging. It will continue to be so, but I think now it's even a little. We've seen a lot more challenges, you know, with the pandemic and some of the political stuff that's going on here in the U.S. So first, big shout out and thank you to everyone doing this so important work as educators. You know, without our health and wellness, what do we have, right? So thank you everyone to do that. So what do I think about it? Hey, I mean, listen, I was a health ed teacher for 17 years. It's the most important subject, right? I don't know if math teachers agree with me on that, but you know, and I think that we forget sometimes, why are we coming into education, right? Because we love young people and we want to see them succeed. And, you know, teaching is such a rewarding experience, right? And it can be hard to balance this like reward with like all these pressures coming on it, right? There's always a new initiative or a new thing, right? Your first 2 years, you're like, yay, I'm gonna change the world. And then 15 years in, you're like, whew, I thought I was changing the world, right? So, you know, what I think is most important is that teachers feel supported in the work that they do, right? Educators are often blamed for all the things, right? So and so's not engaged, or this and that and all the things, but we're all just out here doing the best we can, so
Right.
what's important to me is that teachers feel supported. And so when it comes to teaching health education, sex education, and physical education, for folks to know that, hey, you know what, you're not alone, right? There are
Right.
individuals, there are resources, there are organizations out there to support you, and you don't have to invent it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to do anything on your own. There
Right.
are all these people and resources there to support this great work that you're doing that benefits all of our young people. Um,
Awesome.
yeah. So that's my big overview of what I
That's
think
no,
about
that's
it. That's the
awesome.
umbrella
Yeah,
answer.
totally. And someone once told me that education is more powerful when when you share it, and that's exactly what you're alluding to. So that's certainly something that, yes, I agree that it is being resourceful and reaching out for support whenever you can. Okay, so how do you see your role contributing to or partnering with, say, a school-based health and physical education and or adaptive professionals? How does your role contribute to that partnering?
Yeah, so at Advocates for Youth, we have a lot of different branches and things that we do. And, so I work in the division of sex education on the AMAZE project. And so with AMAZE, we really kind of have two goals. And our first main goal is getting sexuality education resources to young folks, right? That might not get them from their families or schools or from other areas, right? And that's where a lot of our video content comes from. But as for when we're talking about teachers and schools, which is what I really work on, is us really building out toolkits and trainings and video resources and webinars and individual one-on-one or small group supports for educators that are implementing sex ed within their health ed classes or their phys ed classes, wherever it might happen, or their math or art or wherever it's happening,
Right.
in ways that they feel comfortable and confident and meets the needs of their young people, and also um, allows them to feel supported in their profession and not be afraid for their job or media tax and things like that, right? And helping folks really understand what's most important for the folks in their community and how that's different based on where you are geographically, where you are, what type of school. Is it a rural school, an urban school? Do you have 2,000 students or 20? Who's in your classroom, right? All of those things. So that's
Awesome.
what we really try to do at Advocates, is make sure we're getting to all the needs of the educators across the gamut.
That's awesome. Seem like your plate is full with reaching out, and we thank you for that work. So from your perspective, what do teacher training professionals need to know about who is or how future school professionals are being trained? So are there areas that could be enhanced or improved, you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we look at it twofold. We look at what do in-service teachers need, and also what do pre-service teachers need, right? Because those are different things. Um, and when I think about teacher training, I think about, and specifically related to sex education and health education, there's three real parts, right? It's the affective piece, that knowledge piece, and that skill piece. And especially in health, when we're talking about a lot of these like more sensitive topics, right? We're talking about sex, we're talking about drugs, right? All of these things. We have to first, as educators, be self-reflective and interrogate kind of our own stuff that is coming up, right, in the classroom. Because if we don't do that, the classroom can very quickly turn into a values judgment class, which is what we're not there to do, right? If we want to bring an inclusive classroom, it's about talking to our young people about their values and having them build the skills that meet their needs and their values, not our own, right? So that's really the first part of that training, is for us as educators, as people, to be self-reflective, introspective, and do some of our own work around that. And whether that's, talking about bias, whether that's talking about sexuality and sex education or any of those things, we have to do that work as professionals first.
Wow. Yeah. What I'm hearing
Yeah.
a lot is the word reflection, which is reflecting with me, so I totally get
Mhm.
that. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
So, can you identify an area within the schools today that need to change to support and retain, say, high quality teachers? Like, what suggestions would you offer to retain and support the current HPE workforce? Have you thought of
Yeah.
any suggestion that could help
Yeah.
us in that area?
I mean, listen, I don't have all the answers. Sometimes I just have more questions, but I really think it's about treating teachers like human beings that they are and respecting their expertise and knowledge, and their humanity in the work, right? A lot of the educational theories and initiatives that are out there are amazing when you have 10 fully engaged, fully prepped young people in your classroom. But that's not the reality, right? We have 34, we have 50, right? Of folks, young people that are coming in with all different types of, learning and knowledge from their own stuff. So I think that oftentimes we have this punitive system on teachers. If we could flip that to be positive and really support our teachers in their humanity and in their development so that they can really learn as educators, and use all the great knowledge and the educational research and the innovations we know, but also their own spirit and talent, right?
Right.
So much of teaching is a talent and what's your vibe and what's your connection with young people. And so we really have to support teachers in honing those skills, right? It's a craft to be a teacher. So
Sure.
honing our craft so we can do all the initiatives, but also not lose the connection. Because listen, no one wants to be punished and all these like punitive things. It's very like that's not really setting us up as a
Correct.
country and our education system for success. And
Right.
so let's flip that on its head, right?
I love that.
Let's support our teachers because
Right.
teaching, teachers, I mean, this is the profession that is most important, right? Is
Indeed.
educators.
Indeed.
And folks are leaving and they're
Right.
leaving because they don't feel valued and they
Right.
don't feel appreciated as
Awesome.
humans, as professionals. So let's change that,
Love
right?
it.
Because we've been teaching for not good pay for years, but we just
Ah,
want to be treated well
that's
while we're
right.
doing it.
That's correct.
Like, I mean, yeah, some more pay would be great, but no one went into teaching to be a millionaire. We went because we love what we do. So
Right.
now we just want to be, you
Yeah.
know, appreciated and supported through that journey.
Indeed. In fact, I think that the support that you're referencing can help with the retention of teachers who again make the
Hmm.
connection with their students and of course meeting the learners that come to us with strengths and assets. So yes, for sure. Thank you so much for that. So
Hmm.
let me move on by asking you, what role do you think equity, diversity, inclusiveness play in the recruitment of future professionals into the field of health and physical education? Please share why you think this is important and what would this look like and maybe the impact that this could have on school age children population
Yeah,
on a day-to-day basis. What role do you
yeah.
think that plays?
I mean, it plays the most important role, right? We know there's all the research. We know that representation matters and that we know that connection in school matters, right? We know that student connection to school is the number one thing that ensures their success, right? And we know that as people, we meet someone and we automatically make inherent judgments based on what we see. That is a human thing. And so these connections that we build with all different types of teachers is what also does well for our young people, right? They're going to see themselves represented. They're going to have people they can easily connect with, people that look like them, but also people that they're like, oh, wow, I might have assumed you were this, but then I learned this all about you and it's something totally different, right? And this, how we recruit our next generation of teachers is really of the utmost importance, right? We often hear, unfortunately, we often hear people say, oh, well, there was no applicants of this identity. So I'm like, okay, well, pause. We need to change where we're recruiting, right? And that's what we need to think about is if we've always recruited this one way and we're not getting different folks, then we change the way we recruit and we recruit in different places. And we build the profession in that way, right? And that's and a lot of that goes along with like policy, right? And the funding to have that, and how, you know, whether universities are having programs where people can actually choose this profession and making it viable and all of those things, right? It's not like one specific strategy. There's many ways we have to approach it.
Right.
But
Yep.
I mean, if we think back to as adults, if we think back to our favorite teacher, think about why was that person my favorite teacher? What about them? And often it's like, wow, they felt like this, or they made me feel this. It's not like, oh, this person taught me how to calculate percentages. It's they made me feel this way because, and when we recruit teachers that can connect with our students, that's what folks are going to remember.
Awesome. What I'm hearing what resonated with me when you use the word pause, you know, sometimes we're going so fast that we don't take time to bring our thoughts back together, being grounded as often. And you said representation. Couldn't agree with you more, because as you already know, student of color and other marginalized population have been feeling the brunt of not having a seat at the table. And for you to bring that up to the forefront, I totally agree with you, and I thank you for mentioning that. So that said, would you think that the school-based health education curricula need to evolve somehow to meet the learners where they are? I think you alluded to it earlier, more specifically around geographical and culturally relevant content. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, and it is changing, right? There's really a paradigm shift happening within health education, right? You know, back in the day, we're like, memorize the nutrients, and there you go, A+. But we know, you know, all the nutrients. That doesn't mean you're eating a vegetable, right? So there is a shift happening, but again, it goes back to policy and resources, because that's great, we can have a shift in the profession, but if no one's teaching the class,
there you go.
What does that mean? You know, but there are people doing great work out there, right? We talk about all the great skills-based work that's happening out there from Sarah and Holly, right? From Care and Guidance, from RMC Health, all these people that are doing amazing skills-based health ed work. But it is that paradigm shift, and it can be challenging for those of us that have been in the profession for a long time, because that's not how we learned, right? I mean, I look back at my first 5 years and I'm like, oops, you know, but that's what I knew at the time, right? That's how I was trained. That's why, you know, professional development as you go through your career is so important. And so that paradigm shift is happening. It's just not happening, you know, as fast as we would like it to be, but there's great work out there.
Thank you.
And even advocates, right? The sex ed curriculum 3 R's is aligned with the national health standards, right? It is working to be skills-based. There is skills-based aspects to it, right? And we kind of like have to massage that out there, and it's moving along, right? And we will get there. And it will, like anything, right? There's adaptations and changing. As we know better, we do better, and that's where we are.
Awesome. Yes, I agree. So there's always going to be some anticipation of challenges, but I want to ask you, if you had the opportunity to speak to an audience of higher ed faculty and some school level professionals, give us 1 or 2 advice about partnering. What advice would you give this audience of practitioners in the higher ed, specifically in the teacher education programs and some school-based level professionals? What advice would you give? With the anticipation that there will be challenges in recruitment and retaining them, what advice would you give them?
Gosh, that is a fantastic question. I'm just like
Yeah,
thinking about it for a moment. I think that we have to do the work collaboratively. There's a lot of work being done in silos and a lot of people reinventing the wheel over and which which is a shame, right? And we really have to step step out of like the ego and our titles and all of those things that we are taught so much to strive for, and like you said, pause and work collaboratively to really bring the profession together, because we need the researchers, we need the the higher education institutions that has the money for the research and also is teaching those undergrads, but we also need the folks in shape, we need the folks in public health, we need the folks in sexuality education, we need the PE folks, we need everyone, we need the policy folks. All of that has to come together and really commit to being collaborative, even when there might be there's the politics of it all, right? But we're not doing service to our young people if we're letting the politics outweigh what's right for our young
right,
folks. And I just hope that we can kind of do that, is really find ways to be more collaborative, because there's awesome work happening.
right.
But if we're doing
Excellent.
it alone by ourselves, we're not going to get as far as if we were like, no, pause, we're coming together. This is the movement and this is what we're doing. Because there are great minds in our
Right.
field.
Wow.
So
That's awesome. In fact, what I'm hearing you is that what I'm doing right now, what we're doing right now, reaching out to people like you. I, for one, when I'm teaching and I get stuck with sexuality education, oh, I reach out to people like you and people who know this work very well, because I do need you and we need one another. And I'm sure if there
mhm,
was the other way around, you will feel comfortable reaching out to me as well.
of course.
Well, that brings us to the end of our session today. I cannot thank you enough. And one of the things that I forgot to mention about Dr. Gibson is that she could speak with that clicking sound, with that clicking. And that was something that was kind of unique about her when I first met her. And I was quite impressed. And we had a wonderful opportunity to talk about her travels in South Africa primarily, and the work that she's doing over there. And we thank you on behalf of all our members in Shape America, all the educators, all the health and physical educators around the country and around the world, for the work that you're doing. And we wish you the very best and continued success. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Ramsey. It's
My
always a
pleasure.
pleasure.
Bam. Are you